Alright, here we go. Take 80 on making this video. First of all, guys, what is going on? My name is Noto RJ. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I appreciate it very, very much. I am in the living room. This is the living room setup. I know it's different from like all the other setups actually in the room right over there, but I figured why not have a chill kind of atmosphere and also kind of just a different vibe. I know it gets kind of tiring of sitting in a chair making videos, so I figured why not try to do a video in my living room. Got a lot of things cooking in the chamber, guys, so I appreciate it if you're an existing subscriber. If you are new, hit the like button, and again, hit the subscribe button. That'd be huge. I'm going to start going live here on YouTube and on TikTok, so make sure you follow the social media links down below. And I know it's probably really annoying that I'm holding a mic, but I got this mic for free. Shout out to my man Cole. I just don't got to stand for it, so I have to order one. So yeah, I will just keep holding the mic that, and I think it looks kind of cool and more professional. So if you are watching this currently, when this drops, happy May 4th day from the title. I'm going to be ranking all the Star Wars games I've ever played in my life, but I do have to say, from a fellow nerd, May the 4th be with you. I absolutely love this day. It's one of my favorite days of the year, just because, again, I'm such a nerd. I love Star Wars. My Star Wars fandom goes beyond and beyond and beyond. So I'm actually watching the Family Guy Star Wars, which if you haven't seen them, you should. They're absolutely funny. I'm going to be doing a tier list on all the Star Wars games I've ever played in my lifetime, trying to go from worst to best to my best of my ability. I've never done a tier list before, so hopefully you guys dig it. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I think I said it, this will be the start of multiple videos where I do tier lists of either games I've played or series, stuff like that. So hopefully you guys do dig this. I wanted to do this specifically for May 4th Star Wars Day. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the tier list. All right, so here we go. If you guys can look, these are the 15 games. I can't really see it just because of how everything is set up. I'm using my MacBook right now to record all this stuff, but this is the tier list of video games I've played Star Wars wise. I've probably played more and I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But these are games I can for sure talk about because I have played them. Some of them are my favorite and some of them I really don't care for. I'll try my hardest to go from worst to best. Obviously, S being the best and D being the worst. So let's go ahead and start off. First and foremost, the first one is absolutely going to be Star Wars Squadrons. That game was truly terrible. I remember when it came out, I was actually really, really hyped for the game because I really loved the TIE fighting in Battlefront 2, the EA one. So I was really hyped for this game, but when it came out, it really, really sucked. I also thought that I was good enough to play VR on it, and I wasn't, and I played about 10 minutes of VR on the game and got a super bad headache because I get really bad motion sickness. But it didn't quite live up to, I think, the standards of which EA released the game. This was the first game post Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I thought that maybe they thought they could get away with putting out a decent game, but I actually did not care for it. It did not further, I think, the Star Wars story that EA was trying to build. No, I didn't really care for it, and I feel like that's probably one of the worst modern Star Wars games that we've had in a while. Of course, modern being, I think, from like PS4 up. But the latest of Star Wars games that EA has done, that one was horrible, and definitely shouldn't do it again. Let's go with the next one. As I'm looking at this list here, and I'm really starting to think, because like that one was the worst one. I don't really think there's a bad one after. I will say probably C-wise will be Star Wars Pod Racer. I remember playing this game on the Nintendo 64. In fact, when I got my tonsils taken out when I was like 5 or 6, I remember like being in the operating room afterwards, and I remember they were like, hey, do you want to like play games? And they wheeled in like a TV and a Nintendo 64, and I remember like getting to play it. And I remember Pod Racer being like the game I'd play a lot. I really don't remember much of it. I actually did end up getting the Nintendo Switch version, and it was really, really fun to play. But like as like a 5-year-old kid, I remember being like, oh my god. Like we went home and my dad actually had the game on Nintendo 64, and I remember just playing it a crap ton. So the next game I have to say, this is a hard list because, again, it just starts getting worse and worse. I got all this together and I didn't really think about like what I wanted to put where, I guess. There's going to be a lot on B, a little on A, and one for sure on S. And this is my opinion, so I'm sure you're not going to like it. We'll just go ahead and go, well, you know what, episode 3. We'll go episode 3 on C. Just because I remember when episode 3 came out in theaters, I was I don't remember how old I was, 6 or 7. I love that movie. It is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I still like shed a tear watching that movie. So when the game came out, I remember my dad getting it on the PlayStation 2. I believe it's the only movie game that was kind of a tie-in to the actual movie. I remember like watching my dad and my uncle play this game. I ended up playing it. I loved everything about it. I loved the open, not the really the open world feel of it, but just the idea of it. One of the best things about this game by far was the alternate endings it had. Like what if Anakin beat Obi-Wan, and of course like he went on to kill Palpatine. So that's why I probably put it as a C, because I really haven't played it in a long time. Like, I'll be honest with you, it's been at least 10 plus years. So let's go ahead and move on, because I really don't have much to say about the game, other than I think throughout the years everybody started to love it. So let's go to the B category, because there's quite a bit of games that are in the B category. We'll go ahead and just start off with Knights of the Old Republic. Now, this is a cult classic game. I remember playing this game on my brother's original Xbox when it first came out. It was my first kind of reintroduction into Star Wars, I guess. Like, I remember we got the game at a garage sale, and I didn't know what it was. I've never heard of the Old Republic. I've never heard of this style of game before. But just seeing Star Wars on it was enough for me to be like, okay, I might like this game. I remember playing it first and I didn't like it. I'll be honest with you. I was like, who are these characters? Like, what does all this stuff mean? This was, I guess, kind of way before everything was put into place, because I think this game came out in 2003 or something like that. And again, I don't remember when I got it. It might have been 7 or 8. So like my Star Wars fandom wasn't even there at all. So just getting the game and playing it, I remember like I really liked the game and I thought the story was all right, but I thought like, oh, it's super weird. Like, where is the main people in this game? Like, it takes place. It doesn't really talk. It does, but it doesn't really talk about like everything in the movies. And I was like, man, it was all right. I think as I've gotten older, my fandom has grown. I've loved the idea of Knights of the Old Republic. I think it'll be a standout movie if they ever make it. Like, fingers crossed that somewhere along the lines we'll get the Knights of the Old Republic movies. I think Revan came as a character of its own. Like, just the more years it comes, it's just aging like fine wine. But the Knights of the Old Republic, at first, I didn't really care for it. It's been a long time since I've played it. I was really hyped for the remake of it, but as of right now, I don't even know if it's going to happen. So let's go ahead and just do the next one on the list, and that's Knights of the Old Republic 2. Again, when we got Knights of the Old Republic 1, it was at a garage sale, which Knights of the Old Republic 2 was in there as well. I remember playing it, and I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as the first game. And again, it kind of just goes off of like, it was an unknown story at the time. Like, how do you tie everything in together? And there wasn't really something you could have done, I guess. And I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of hate just for the idea that like I didn't really care for these games growing up. So let's go ahead and go on another B-list game in my opinion, and that's going to be Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Now, this game came out a few years ago with a ton of hype. I was so excited for this game to come out because the Lego Star Wars games growing up were my favorite thing to play and then watch. Like, I remember the idea of a Lego Star Wars game. I believe that's the first Lego game of any kind, by the way. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not remembering it the right way, but those Lego Star Wars games were fun to watch. I remember like watching my dad struggle playing them and then like me playing them. But when the Skywalker Saga kind of came to be, I was super excited because it's like, oh my god, like, this is going to capture the nostalgia I had when I was a kid, adding on to everything that they had. I mean, we got 7, 8, 9, all the other stuff. But when it came out, I wasn't too happy about it, I guess. Like, I remember playing it and I was just like, this isn't as fun as like the old ones were. And maybe it's because I guess the old ones were so generic and so like they were so, I don't even know how you want to say it, but they were so fun because they were so basic. This one added way too much and the story was just kind of like, meh. It didn't really like do it for me, I guess, when you think of the whole Skywalker saga. I mean, I did think it was all right. I don't think commercially it did that great because it was on sale almost immediately after it came out. I remember it got delayed quite a bit, but nonetheless, like, it was an all right game. It's definitely a fun game to play. The only thing, one things I really hated about this game was you didn't have online multiplayer. That doesn't make any sense at all. We're in a day and age where a game like that comes out, it has to be online multiplayer because I guess nobody just does multiplayer like at home. So that's going to be a B for me. I'm looking at this list and see, do I have anything else on a B list? Yeah, I'll add one more because I know this is going to be controversial in every way, shape, and form. But I will add, we'll go Jedi Survivor. And I know what you're saying. You're like, how is that a B? It was all right. Well, because it was all right. Don't get me wrong, when Jedi Fallen Order came out, I'll go into that in a little bit because that is on this list. But when Jedi Fallen Order came out, I didn't know what I was expecting of the game. With Jedi Survivor, I think I expected a lot more modern stuff because this was a post-Obi-Wan, post-Mandalorian, Boba Fett, stuff like that. So when it came out and I played it, I didn't hate the story. I thought it was definitely like the second of three in a Star Wars story. I don't know. I didn't, like I said, I thought some of the boss fights were easy. Obviously, Rick the Technician, Rip, my guy, Rip. But I thought the idea that we weren't going to, I thought the idea that we're not trying to connect more into the story, into the greater Star Wars story, kind of, it just didn't do it for me, I guess. I liked how the game was, but it definitely wasn't Jedi Fallen Order. Like I said, it was definitely like the second of a three-story structure in Star Wars. You have the first one, which is the build to it. The second one, which is like kind of continues on to it. I would think the third one's going to go all out and all stops, but I just thought that they could have taken more chances and more gamble on Jedi Survivor, and they just didn't. But anyways, that's going to be it for the B list. Let's go into the A list. All these games are going to be on there, so yeah. And I'll try my hardest to go fast on it. I'm not going to give an explanation on everything. So let's go ahead and start with the first game, and that's going to be The Force Unleashed 2. Now, the Force Unleashed games, I actually put the other one up as well. So the Force Unleashed games, this is kind of what started like the beginning of my fandom really picking up. I remember when these games came out, I was more intrigued because Darth Vader was in there, and of course, like, I knew who Darth Vader was. I obviously knew the story of Darth Vader. So when these games came out, I was so young, and it was one of the first games I ever played on the Nintendo Wii. I remember going to a friend's house and playing The Force Unleashed, and we played it all night on the Nintendo Wii. And I was so surprised because of the story that I couldn't wait for the second one to come out. I can't remember the time frame of when the second one came out to when I played the first one, but I love the first one just because the story that was built around just Darth Vader, the story that was built around Darth Vader's apprentice, the fact that you could choose between good and light, good and bad, it was just, it was eye-opening. And again, it's what started the fandom onto looking at more stories outside of the main canon Star Wars universe. This was before the Disney acquisition, so of course I think this was, I can't think of off the top of my head what the Star Wars was called, but essentially The Force Unleashed 1 started the main fandom for me outside of the Star Wars canon verse, which made me go get books and stuff like that to start reading on Star Wars. So The Force Unleashed 1 and 2 are just great games. I remember when The Force Unleashed 2 came out, I convinced my dad to get it on the PlayStation 3, and my God, between the Wii and the PlayStation 3, the graphics are night and day. The story is absolutely amazing, and I think, again, The Force Unleashed is starting to become more of a cult following now that we are like 10 or 15 years after the release of the game. It's kind of like Knights of the Old Republic, where now that we've added more mainline story to Star Wars, we want to see the characters of these fan-beloved games come into the story somehow, some way, shape, or form, which is something I would not be surprised if we should get in the next year or two, having the Force Unleashed story kind of come to light. I'd love to see that movie, by the way. I think it could be some great 1 or 2 or even a trilogy set of movies for The Force Unleashed 3, or The Force Unleashed. So yeah, those two games began my fandom for Star Wars. So the next one I'm going to put, and it's going to be another controversial one because I didn't really play it all that much, but I played it, and that's going to be EA's Star Wars Battlefront 1. When this game came out on the PlayStation 4, again, I did not play this game. I didn't even have it because I didn't have a PlayStation 4 at the time. I actually just played on my dad's PlayStation 4. But Battlefront 1 was pretty fun when the pre-trial came out, or the trials, whatever you want to call it. I'm so brain dead right now, I can't even think of what it's called. But when the beta came out and everybody played the game, it was so much fun. I can't necessarily get into a lot of details with it. I just had a lot of fun playing this game, and I know a lot of people didn't like this game for some odd reason, and I know after seeing some people's tier list, they would tier it way below, but I actually really like this game. There's actually aspects of this game that didn't make it into Battlefront 2, which are absolutely ridiculous on why they didn't. But hearing the stories and then playing it the little I did, I actually really enjoyed it for being what it was, and that was the shooter style Call of Duty game that I've grown to love with Star Wars Battlefront and Star Wars games in general. So the next one I'm going to go ahead and do is going to be the OG Star Wars Battlefront 2. Again, I haven't played this game in forever, but when I watched my dad play this game and played with him for the time that I did, I absolutely loved playing it. I love the idea of getting to be able to play Vader and getting able to play all these Jedi and Sith Lords. Was so fun to play. Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a cult classic. I know they did a remaster of Battlefront 1 and 2. It's actually out right now. I haven't played it. I heard it's really not that great, so I'm just not even going to try to check it out. I'll add one more to the A tier list, and that's going to be Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy. When this game came out, I actually thought it was really, really funny because of the way the movies came out, obviously with the original trilogy and then the prequel trilogy. So when this game came out, I actually found it funny. There was a lot of cool aspects to this game, and I remember my dad playing it, and of course playing it by myself. The idea that you could build your own Lego with your own lightsaber, I thought that was very innovative, and I thought that was super fucking cool. So, pardon my language, but I thought it was super fucking cool. I remember playing this on the GameCube, again at a buddy's house, and seeing my dad beat it was awesome, because then I can go over to my friend's house and beat it for them. It's still a fun game, and it's still super nostalgic, and it's still incredible that these games kind of launched the whole Lego everything game. At least that's how I remember it. Maybe I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Lego Star Wars series is what launched the Lego stuff for Lego Batman and shit like that. But yeah, so let's go into the S list. These three games are top tier games for me that I've absolutely loved. I can't say nothing but good things about. We'll go ahead and start off with, I guess, the third, the one that I like the most. But yeah, so we'll go Jedi Fallen Order. I didn't know what to expect with this game. When this game was announced, I was like, okay. So this game takes place after Episode 3, The Fall of the Jedi. Didn't really know what to expect, but just playing it was really, really amazing. It actually has a personal story to me. This was actually the last game that my dad, before he passed away, played. And I remember I was on second shift at my job, and I just grinded so hard to get this game beat, so then I could talk to my dad about it. And I loved it. It was great. I loved how it incorporated planets like Mustafar, and just kind of going on. I thought the villains were a lot more tougher in this game than in Jedi Survivor. I honestly thought, spoiler alert, but I honestly thought they were going to literally Rogue One everybody at the end of the game. When Darth Vader showed up in the game, I was like, oh my God. And I bleeped out that cuss word, but I was just I was so amazed, because I was like, dude, no way. And it was so cool. I remember I couldn't beat him, and then coming to find out you're not supposed to beat him. But the way they ended that game was just amazing, and it really made me just surprised, because again, I didn't really know what to expect going into that game, and I just thought every bit of that game was really, really good. I think it's a top tier Star Wars game. At first, I actually hated it because I didn't want to accept that EA could do a good game after Battlefront, because I've wanted Battlefront 3 for so long. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but it was so good, and I loved everything about it. The fact that he has a dual blade lightsaber, which I don't know, might have been a little much considering who has a dual blade lightsaber. Darth Maul, and I feel like that he should be the only person in there. But I thought, yeah, the dual-bladed lightsaber is really cool. I thought it was great getting to go find you a kyber crystal and making your own lightsaber, and just the whole backstory of that game. I really hope the next game they make, they go balls to the walls and they make it as good as they can make it, because it has definitely made the idea of having a single-player Star Wars game fun. So let's go into number 2, my second favorite Star Wars game, and that's going to be the OG Lego Star Wars episode, or the prequel trilogy, whatever you want to call it. I have nothing but good things to say about this game. Again, the way I remember it is this started the revolution of the Lego games. There was no such thing as Lego whatever without Lego Star Wars Episode 1, or yeah, whatever. I remember my dad playing it and just struggling as a kid watching him, and it was just amazing, because my dad was the type of guy that, like, he got everything. So, unlike me, I'm rushing through everything. I'll go back and play him. He wanted to get everything at first start. So just watching him play the game and struggle with it was fun. It's a fun game to play because, again, it's very plain, but that's good. You know, I don't know. In a weird way, it was very plain, but it was also super fun. I loved playing it. I loved watching him play it. One of the funniest stories I have is, I live in the Midwest, so it was we were in a thunderstorm, and he was struggling so hard to beat the Clone Wars mission in episode 2. I think it's like the last mission where you actually have to go around and fight everybody. My dad struggled with it, and he finally got everything and beat everything. And right before the save, because this was back when you actually had to manually press, save, the power went out, and he was so mad. He ended up beating it the next day, but I just remember that story because he was like, oh, what the, and it was just really fun to watch and play, and then to go back and play. And it was actually funny because I think years and years later, me and Buddy actually played it with my dad in the room, and we just wiped through the whole game in like 2 hours. And I'm like, well, how can we do it then and you couldn't do it? And my dad just getting so mad and be like, you know what? But it's fun. And again, like Lego Star Wars, the first game, it's just it started the revolution of Lego games, obviously. So the last game, the best game, I don't care what anybody says, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the EA did. I have so many fond memories of this game. I just graduated high school. I didn't go to college, so we played this game like no other. This was the Call of Duty in my family. Literally, me, my dad, my best friend Cole, my uncle Brandon, we played this game all night long. We still play this game sometimes, not as much as we used to, but when this game came out, it was amazing. I still think it's amazing. Could it be better? Yes. Were the EA microtransactions stupid? Absolutely. But you couldn't tell me there is a better game than Star Wars Battlefront 2. And again, it's more sentimental to me just because, again, we played this game all the time with my dad. It's one of the games that we don't play a lot just in memory of my dad, because how good me, Brandon, my dad, and Cole were at playing this game. I mean, we were putting hours in. I think one night we played like 7 or 8 hours. Like, we started and we're like, hey, we're only gonna play for a few hours. The birds were chirping by the time we were done. And it's a fun game to play. And I think the best mode is the mode where you're facing computers, and those computers can be hard. You're not facing online people. And that's what I liked about Star Wars Battlefront the most, because like online, obviously people are way better, but you can play that computer game, and I can't remember the mode right now off the top of my head, but you can play that and still get really challenged, and it's still super fun to play and just have fun doing it. Online, it's just meh, but I wish we get a Battlefront 3. I wish, because this came out before episode 8. I think episode 7 already came out, but before episode 8. And the fact that there's like more Star Wars stuff that can be added to a Battlefront 3 with like the Mandalorian and like Boba Fett and stuff like that, it's a better time than ever to do Battlefront 3. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I would absolutely love doing it. But that is going to do it for us. I did not realize the time of this video, so I don't know. I'll try to edit it down the most. I even put my dogs here to sleep, as you guys can see. So if you guys did enjoy this video, I appreciate it. If you've made it through this whole video, thank you so much. Hopefully it's a good video. Like I said, it's a test video, so let me know down below what you guys think I should change about it. But it's a test video to start kind of a string of videos that are going to be kind of a ranking system type list for different games, franchises, etc. So anyways, guys, if you're watching this on May 4th, may the 4th be with you, As always, NotoRJ, hit the subscribe button if you're new, click the like button if you've enjoyed this video, and turn the bell and be notified when my videos are released. Again, I go live on YouTube and on TikTok, so make sure you're following my TikTok down below. Let's talk. I don't even care about whatever. Also go follow on the Instagram. I'm going to be more active on Instagram as well. Be with you. As always, NotoRJ, hit the subscribe button if you're new, click the like button if you've enjoyed this video, and turn the bell and be notified when my videos are released. Again, I go live on YouTube and on TikTok, so make sure you're following my TikTok down below. Let's talk. I don't even care about whatever. Also go follow on the Instagram. I'm going to be more active on Instagram as well. But with that being said, guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.